We've got to answer the bell. Now let's go.
Welcome in to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yow, joined, as always, by Mo Patton. Glad to be with you here on this Tuesday edition. It is the final day of February. We're almost in month number 3 of 2023, Mo.
Isn't that something?
It really is. Let's be honest. This is wild.
Time flies when you're having fun?
It does, in fact.
I don't know if we're necessarily having fun, but we've certainly been busy this past 2 months.
Yes, we have, and that's I think that's more what makes time fly. Let's be honest. But boy, what a great couple of months we've had hanging out with you, and we are looking forward to several more. In fact, this next month is going to be really busy. This one and May. You know, it's crazy because March and May are the two busiest months that we have, Mo. I mean, the last 2 weeks of February, the first 2 weeks of March are just insane. And then you add on, you know, spring fling in May. It gets nuts.
Start of football gets pretty crazy before we actually get into the routine of it. So.
Yeah, it gets crazy only because you can get, you've got games on Thursday night and Friday night, and you're getting, and then you got college football starting up. There are a few times a year when our lives get hectic, and this is one of them.
Particularly hectic.
Yeah. More hectic than the other times.
Exactly.
Is it because, I have a question. Is it because y'all are planning a surprise party for me on the 19th? I don't want to stress y'all out.
Is it May 19th?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still a Taurus then, basically, right?
I am. Yes, sir.
Okay, because
I don't know. Wait a minute. Have you looked at the new dates? Because there's new dates out there. Justin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So are they retroactive?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that either, but I did see that they've apparently moved the dates around. So I wonder if I can't imagine it's retroactive though. That wouldn't make much sense, would it?
No. That's interesting. I asked Justin whether you're a Taurus or not because your birthday's on the 19th, and my daughter's birthday is on the 23rd, and she is a Gemini in every sense of the word. So
that's right at the cutoff, isn't it? That's right at the cutoff, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I was asking. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't looked to make sure, but I think the new dates make Chandler not a Scorpio. So fingers crossed.
No, I'm not. I'm Googling this. I'm not seeing anything about new dates, Chris. Are you putting out bad info here?
No, I promise you I saw it.
It was on the internet and they can't put
here we go. Something from stylist.co.uk. Astrology fans, you've been reading the wrong star sign all this time. This is what your zodiac sign means now. Now, this is from earlier this month.
Does it change y'all's?
It doesn't mention date changes, though.
It's just like, figure it out.
I don't know. Yeah.
So
NASA, this article says NASA has added a brand new 13th zodiac sign into the mix, too.
Wow, NASA getting involved.
Well, no, I don't think that's our NASA, though, because, again, this is from England. I think NASA is
NASA.
a astrologer, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, I don't know. This is
Well, yeah. So this is Gemini's start on the 20th of May. So I think that's right. And same with Virgos. I'm a Virgo by like a day. The 22nd is the cutoff for Virgos. So
Yeah, I just got word now that I'm right. I just made the cut for making a Taurus.
well, I'm firmly a Taurus, and
Nice.
anybody that knows me would agree.
Let's go. Taurus City, Taurus gang.
Yeah. So interesting little sidetrack there. We probably got something we need to get back to.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because this story from July 17th of 2020, because we had nothing better to do in July of 2020 than to worry about zodiac stars.
Well, maybe that's how somebody was able to do it, because they were stuck at home.
They were at home doing nothing else.
Yeah.
No, it actually was our NASA. It all started with a resurface story that NASA discovered a 13th zodiac sign, Ophiuchus, or the serpent bearer, but apparently that was a lie. Not necessarily a lie, but they were mistaken.
There you go.
So, you know, and maybe that's where I got that idea from. But so anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
The National Aeronautics and Space Administration is an independent agency of the U.S. federal government responsible for the civil space program, aeronautics research, and space research. Nowhere in there does it mention zodiac or horoscopes.
You know, it was definitely the guy who had nothing better to do in his, during COVID.
Yeah,
1,000% that guy.
He couldn't come to the office, so it's like, you know what? Let me see what I can see and what I can find to justify this check.
There you go. That's exactly what he was doing.
I have a telescope.
Oh, 100%. Well, we do have some things to talk about. We've got a lot of stories to get to, and we need to get to them as quickly as we can. So let's go ahead and give you yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Girls high school basketball action from Monday night. These are all region semifinal games, so the losers' seasons are over. It was Green Hill 42, Beach 33, Blackman 63, Rockville 33, Clarksville 75, Henry County 42. In overtime, the Lady Lions of Columbia Central fell to Brentwood 66-60. Community down Pearl-Cone 43-16. It was Cookville 63, Gallatin 47. Creekwood with a 66-46 win over Maplewood. Dixon County defeated Rossview 64-36. East Nashville 60, Forest 45. Hillsborough 34, Nolensville 30. Huntland with a 57-50 win over Eagleville. Murfreesboro Central defeated Greenbrier 56-31. Stewart's Creek with a 40-39 win over Oakland. Summertown defeated Cheatham County 67-52, and Loretto defeated Sycamore 62-51. Yow was at both of those, and you can find coverage on mainstreetmurray.com. Smith County with a 44-41 win over Westmoreland.
Boys basketball action tonight. All of these games will start at 6 o'clock and then be followed by a 7:45 game at each of these sites that I will give you. Region 4, 1A at Jackson County. It's Joe Burns and Pickett County, followed by Knowledge Academies and East Robertson. Region 3, 2A at Loudon. It's York Institute taking on Westmoreland and Watertown and Jackson County. Region 4, 2A at Community, Cascade and White Creek. And then East Nashville, Pearl-Cone. That should be fun. Region 5, 2A at Fairview. It's White House Heritage taking on the hosts Yellow Jackets, followed by Cheatham County and Giles County. At Tennessee Tech, Region 4, 3A, Spring Hill and Stone Memorial, followed by Lawrence County and White County. In 5, 3A, at Liberty Creek, it's Portland and Martin Luther King, followed by Murfreesboro Central Magnet and Hillwood. Region 4, 4A, at Blackman. The host Blaze take on Cane Ridge to start. Laverne and Rockville will follow. 5, 4A, at Mount Juliet. It's Green Hill and Beach at 6, Hendersonville, Lebanon afterwards. At Hillsborough in 6, 4A action, it's Hillsborough and Ravenwood, followed by Independence and Nolensville. And then in 7, 4A at Clarksville, it's Rossview and Clarksville, followed by Dixon County and Northwest.
Men's college basketball action, a big one on ESPN2 tonight at 8 o'clock.
Did we miss? Is Mo gone?
Cliffhanger.
Hello?
Okay, there you're back.
You're back.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
we didn't hear you. Start.
Okay. Arkansas, Tennessee, 8 o'clock, ESPN 2. 6 o'clock, ESPN Plus, the ASUN quarterfinals, Lipscomb and Stetson. College baseball action today. Ongoing. 1 o'clock first pitch was Bryan College at Cumberland. At 3 o'clock, you got Lipscomb at Tennessee Tech. At 3 o'clock, also on ESPN Plus, Belmont is at MTSU. I'll be interested to see if Bryant Baranek starts this one again, Chris.
Me too.
3:30 on SEC Network Plus, Charleston Southern at Tennessee. At 4:30 on SEC Network Plus, Austin P at Vanderbilt. And at 5, Faulkner comes up to take on UT Southern. In junior college action, Calhoun State out of Alabama is at Ball State, and Columbia State goes to Wallace State down in Alabama. Both those 2 o'clock starts, so they just got underway. And let's see, in the NBA, the Lakers are at FedEx Forum against the Grizzlies.
LeBronless.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Skip says he's faking it, but hey. Anyway, Lakers, Grizzlies, FedEx, 6:30, TNT, and on the ice, the Penguins are at the Niederreiterless, Janoless, Preds. That's a 7 o'clock start on Valley Sports South, and that is your rundown.
I'm not taking the bait, geezer. We're not talking about the moon landing on this show. Not taking that bait.
We already got far enough off on that tangent as it was.
We did, in fact. But we do have some top story news, some great news for Tennessee baseball. Tony Vitello, although the NCAA investigation is not over, he has served his self-imposed 3-game suspension and will be back on the field today and tomorrow against Charleston Southern. But also
joining him on the field.
Also on the field will be Maui Ahuna, the shortstop transfer from Kansas, who has been cleared by the NCAA. And, you know, if he's been cleared now, he should have been cleared 2 weeks ago. This is ridiculous. But better late than never, I guess. And welcome to Rocky Top, Maui Ahuna.
I mean, it's just the NCAA is so punitive and unnecessarily so. And is that our boy?
I believe that is
right.
T. Yeah, we're in the 2-1.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
How about that?
The NCAA is so punitive and so inconsistent, and they really leave themselves open to a lot of complaints and disdain and that kind of thing with the way they handle things. And this is one of them. I mean, I don't get the impression that whatever Vitello did in the recruitment of Ahuna warranted Ahuna missing 8 games?
Yes.
And I think once UT self-imposed Vitello's suspension for this weekend series, it's like, okay, fine, go. It just makes no sense, man. And like you said, the investigation is ongoing, but he's cleared. So what's up?
Well, he's cleared to play, but the investigation into Vitello's what's is it, a stage 3? What's it called? Violation?
I'm not sure.
It's a level 3, stage 3. What am I thinking about? It's a level 3 violation for tampering while recruiting. And that is what is alleged that, and I guess Tennessee either believes that he did it, or they just decided if he's going to miss a series, Dayton seems to be the series that we can afford to miss him.
There you go. There you go.
It's more of a we'll get out ahead of it and see what happens kind of thing. So smart move there by Tennessee. Go ahead and you know, having Vitello take that 3-game, because if he missed, you know, if they come back and say, you know what, he didn't tamper, it is what it is. It's a Dayton series. But if they say he did, and then you miss him in the LSU series versus, you know, Dayton, it makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, go ahead and get that suspension out the way, and good call there by the Tennessee baseball program and Tony Vitello. So Maui Ahuna, 3 o'clock. I guess he's in the starting lineup. I haven't seen the starting lineup.
I would assume
you got
so.
Vol Baseball Twitter right there, Justin. And just go to just click on their name and let's see if, or is that Go Vols 24/7? You've got Go Vols 24/7. Okay, so we're looking for Vol Baseball and see if their lineup is out. But if it is,
I'll check
I'm
it
sure
out.
he's in it. Yeah, sure, no problem.
Gotcha.
But other news regarding violations at the University of Tennessee. 4 former Tennessee staff members are expected to receive multi-year show cause penalties from the NCAA stemming from their roles in recruiting violations committed under former coach Jeremy Pruitt. At least that's what sources are telling Ross Dellinger at Sports Illustrated. Those include inside linebackers coach Brian Niedermeyer, outside linebackers coach Shelton Felton. That's fantastic. Director of player personnel Drew Hughes. Drew Hughes is not bad either. And Michael Magnus, a student assistant, are set to receive show cause penalties.
Assistant.
Yeah, that's rough. If it's you or me,
before
it's
you even get your career started.
Yeah, you're out 3 to 5 years.
What was it? You wanted the schedule or
no? Today's lineup. If it's
lineup,
got
it. Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know
So,
if they've got it.
So Dellinger actually has names because the article that I saw didn't name anyone, although I felt pretty sure that Pruitt would be among them.
Well, he is not currently. And the reason is because these are negotiated resolutions. So these guys basically struck a deal.
Okay, so give them to me again. I'm sorry.
That's today's starter. No lineup posted yet. That's not a big deal, Justin. No, appreciate you looking it up though. Inside linebackers coach Brian Niedermeyer, Shelton Felton, who is outside linebackers coach, director of player personnel Drew Hughes, and student assistant Michael Magnus.
Okay. Wow. And so they all sat down with the NCAA and said, look, we'll take a show cause and we'll go cell phones at Verizon or whatever. Yes. And maybe we can get back in, but we just want to get this out from over our head.
Yes, that is what it appears.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Magnus is now listed per his LinkedIn as a sales representative for KJUS Worldwide. So
okay,
he just switched careers. He just figured it was probably best to just get out while he's behind. I mean, I feel bad for the kid. He was probably just doing what he was told.
Most likely.
That's what's so upsetting about it. But
well, no. And so and with that, this isn't over with.
No. Pruitt and Derek Ansley were not involved in the resolutions. The school was not involved in that resolution. They've not come to an agreement on anything as far as, and apparently they've been negotiating for months when it comes to Ansley and Pruitt. So the NCAA must be really wanting something heavy here.
And you would think that those 4 gave them something.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. As part of their negotiated resolutions, Niedermeyer, Felton, Hughes, and Magnus acknowledged wrongdoing. Dellinger writes, Niedermeyer and Felton specifically admitting to violating NCAA's policy on ethical conduct, which includes giving false or misleading information to the university and NCAA investigators. Hughes is in his 2nd season as player director for the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point. Felton is now the head coach at Valdosta High in Georgia, which is a heck of a job if you can get
it is. And if you don't believe us, just drive down I-75 between Atlanta and Jacksonville. That big ass stadium off to the right as you're going south.
No, that's where they play. That's Valdosta. That's not Valdosta State. No, that's Valdosta High School. If you get off that exit right there, Bo, that's where I got my first haircut during COVID at the Sports Clips. They had just opened, and I got my haircut at Sports Clips there in Valdosta, Georgia. I had to make an appointment. You can check in online. I checked in we were leaving Jacksonville, and it said there was a 2.5 hour wait. So I went ahead and checked in online. By the time I got to Valdosta, the wait was over. I got in, got my hair cut, and we left. That's a pretty good deal right there.
That's pretty cool.
I waited maybe 10 minutes.
That's
I'm
high quality.
Your first haircut. That's very impressive.
Well, I mean, from COVID, because this was we had gone to, I guess we had gotten married. That was maybe when we got married. I guess so. I wouldn't. No, it was when we went to Daytona. We were on vacation in Daytona and came back. But yeah, that took some planning on my part as far as figuring out how far away from Valdosta I was going to need to be to check in so that I didn't have to wait. And then I also didn't miss the appointment. It was very, very interesting. It was like there was a lot of math involved. You know me, Mo, not a big math guy.
You said there would be no math. Yeah.
Not a big math guy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hard to imagine you volunteering for math.
Gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, especially to get that first haircut during COVID, all shaggy and whatnot. Oh man. Well, let's take our first break of the day, because when we come back, Scott RABALAIS of the Baton Rouge Advocate will join us and talk some SEC women's hoops as the women's basketball tournament is getting ready to tip off in South Carolina. So stick around on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bar and Joint. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller from Mornings on Main Street. Join us March 23rd at Bridgestone Arena with the Nashville Predators for Main Street Media Night. I know Devin O'Day will be here.
You know I will be, Stephanie. Plus, you can register for a Predators prize pack. They were going to call it the Hockey Hootenanny, but they changed. So it's going to have 4 tickets and food vouchers. You got to register to win.
We're looking forward to seeing all of our Main Street Sports Today fans, right, Chris?
Absolutely, we are. And we could not do this without, of course, our owner, Dave Gould, and our friends here at Smashville.
Speaking of,
Where is Dave?
we will see you March 23rd for Main Street Media Night.
Let's go, Prince!
Do I have the wrong night?
Okay, that was pretty cool.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That last promo, y'all, that's the first time we saw it. So
we saw it with you.
Yeah.
So, wow, what a promotion. And again, you've got to register to win. You can register at Main Street-Nashville.com. Make sure to go there and register for that family 4-pack of tickets we are giving away to Nashville Predators and Main Street Media Night on March 23rd. It's Thursday night. It's going to be a good one, and we look forward to seeing you guys there. If you are going to the game, we'd love to see you. So come check us out.
Stop by, say hi.
Stop by, say hi. That's right. It is time now, Mo, to talk a little women's hoops as the SEC women's basketball tournament is soon to get underway. And joining us to talk about it is Scott RABALAIS of the Baton Rouge Advocate. Scott, welcome into the show.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me again.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Scott. So you are headed to Greenville, South Carolina. Is that right?
I am heading out Thursday. LSU tournament starts tomorrow, but LSU has a double bye as the number 2 seed. So just going there in time for their game on Friday evening.
What are you expecting out of this? I mean, all indications are South Carolina, LSU on Sunday, and everything else is just details.
Well, a couple of things. Yeah, I mean, certainly obviously, you have to say South Carolina is the favorite. They're the only undefeated team in the country, defending national champions. But they didn't win this tournament last year. Kentucky came out of the first round, I guess the second day, beat LSU, who was the number 2 seed last year, and went on to beat South Carolina, beat LSU in the quarterfinals, went on to beat South Carolina in the final. It was really a Cinderella run that you see sometimes in this tournament. So South Carolina probably won't let it happen 2 times in a row, but it's they're the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament regardless. I think LSU has they have a little, something to prove in that they were bounced last year. And then but they got probably a tough game against Georgia. It took them to overtime in Baton Rouge to start with. Then might face Tennessee. LSU's beaten Tennessee the last 2 years. LSU's never beaten Tennessee 3 times in a row, ever in women's basketball. So they would have to do that to get to the final. And if LSU can get to the final and could win the tournament, they might be a number 1 seed themselves in the NCAA tournament. So there's a lot of interesting little subplots and stuff. But occasionally you get a Cinderella that pushes through and wins because that's, they're the ones that it means the most to. It probably doesn't mean as much to teams like South Carolina and LSU.
So besides South Carolina, everybody coming in here has something to play for, basically, including number 2 seed LSU.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Trying to improve the seeding. I think they're the only 2 teams that are probably going to end up hosting NCAA tournament games. The women still play their first two rounds at home. I'm just looking at Charlie Cream, the guy who does bracketology.
I was going to say Cream just said, I think his most recent article said Tennessee was creeping. So
he got them as a 5, and so they could, there could be some impetus for Tennessee if they won the tournament, and they're capable. They could get in a position to host, but they're not hosting right now. So obviously that's a big deal. He hasn't gone to North Carolina to Chapel Hill right now, and you don't really want Tennessee to show up if you're hosting. That's not a team you want to show up, and that's the only other team. The Ole Miss is listed as a 7 seed right now. And then the rest of the SEC teams are on down the list. So it's not a vintage year for SEC basketball. LSU and South Carolina are the only 2 ranked teams from the SEC. Tennessee's played such a brutal schedule. They probably should be ranked, but they're not. They have 10 losses. And Charlie says the SEC still is going to get 7 teams, so they'll do all right. But it's going to be I would say that's true. I think everyone but South Carolina has something to play for, and South Carolina's motivation is they didn't win it last year, and they're on a world domination tour, a reign of terror, like Tennessee used to always be on. They're the program to beat now, and we'll see what comes of all that.
I love that reign of terror, and that's exactly.
I think we lost Mo there for just a second. Scott. And yeah, he's
it's a jolly look.
Are we here?
You're here.
Okay. All right.
We
cool.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Yeah. Scott, one thing Charlie said last week in his bracketology was that, a Tennessee win over LSU in the semifinals may cement that top 4 seed in a host spot. And as you mentioned, Tennessee played LSU fairly well during the regular season before losing, has not beaten a top 25 team all year. What I'm sure you saw that LSU Tennessee game. What does Tennessee have to do differently should that come about?
They're a good team. They have some good players, Tennessee. Horston especially, obviously is their star player, but there just seems to be they lack a little something just to. They've got to. And they had a lead on South Carolina early in the game. And South Carolina put together a big run, like 15-0, and took command of that game in Knoxville and a couple of weeks ago or last week, and that was all over. They've just got to play a little more dominant. They seem to just. They miss some shots, or they don't rebound. Like I always think of Tennessee as being relentless rebounders. In the Pat Summitt era, they seem to lack kind of a killer instinct. I don't think Tennessee quite believes they're Tennessee anymore. It's the old adage about a great player or a great team or a great athlete. Well, this used to say about Jack Nicklaus. He knows he's going to beat you, and you know he's going to beat you, and he knows you know he's going to beat you. And that's what Tennessee used to have, and that's what South Carolina has right now. They know they're going to beat you, and you know it, and you just gotta go about your business and just kind of take your lumps and move on. And I think that's what Tennessee's lacking right now is a little bit of confidence to be that old Tennessee team. But it doesn't help that they didn't win any of those ranked team games. And they played everybody. They played Ohio State, Indiana, UCLA, Gonzaga, Stanford, UConn, LSU, and South Carolina, of course, in conference. And so you can't knock them for that. Man, they got a net of 15 and RPI of 18. They're right there if they can put it together. But they're going to need to make they're going to need to do something because it's hard to see a team with 11 losses hosting the first 2 rounds of the tournament.
It's what's so crazy about that, Scott, is you just listed off all the top 25 teams that they played. Those aren't top 25 teams. Those are top 14 teams. They couldn't have played somebody that's ranked 23rd. Need better scheduling. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
they overscheduled. I mean, I think that's everybody's knocking LSU for their non-conference schedule this year, which is very light. And but Tennessee overscheduled, and then the SEC itself is not doing a lot of these schools a lot of favors. Not doing LSU a lot of favors. The SEC is the third ranked conference behind in the net behind the Pac-12 and the ACC. But again, you only have 2 ranked teams. Kentucky is not what it's been in the past. Texas A&M used to be good. They've fallen off. Vanderbilt has obviously been good. The Jim Foster years and stuff like that. And they're trying to rebuild.
Ole Miss should be ranked, but that's neither here nor there.
Ole Miss would be ranked if they could have scored on that last possession against South Carolina before they lost to them in overtime in Oxford. They would be ranked. So
I was just going to say, Scott, Ole Miss didn't get that memo regarding South Carolina that they're going to beat you, and they know that I mean, because clearly they didn't play along with that script.
They did. They gave them a heck of a game. They are a feisty defensive team. They gave LSU a very good game in Baton Rouge. LSU beat them by 9, but it was a close game throughout. The SEC awards came out today, and Dawn Staley got the Coach of the Year award. But I think if not going to Kim Mulkey, you should have gone to Yolette McPhee-McEwen, the Ole Miss coach, because she's got him as a number 4 seed. And not hosting, but a team that will, again, not be a team you want to show up in your town to come play you when you're hosting and try to get to the Sweet 16. So they would play South Carolina in the semifinals. That would be a very interesting game to see on Saturday. Very interesting game.
Yeah. LSU, speaking of those SEC awards, took on several, although not the Coach of the Year, had several players earning awards. And in college basketball, especially women's college basketball, you've got to have a go-to player. You've got to have a dominant presence on the court. And Angel Reese has been pretty dominant for this LSU team for most of the year. And she was placed again, first team all SEC and on the SEC all defensive team, along with 3 other players who won awards. So, Angel Reese gives LSU an opportunity to make a run no matter who they're facing.
She does. You have a good inside-outside presence with this team with Reese inside, and that's what so many of Kim Mulkey's great teams at Baylor are based on, having great posts who can score, and she can score and rebound. And you have a point guard in Alexis Morris who can light up and give you 20. They both scored 23 points against Miss State on Sunday. But Reese has had a double-double in every game except the South Carolina game, which probably kept her from being SEC Player of the Year because she had 16 and 9 or something like that. She was in foul trouble, and then of course they lost by 24. No, but she matched the school record for double doubles set by Sylvia Fowles, who is only going to be in the Naismith Hall of Fame one day. And she's put it. I wrote for today's paper on our website now at theadvocate.com. She's putting up Tiger Woods numbers. She's making the extraordinary seem commonplace. It's like she had another 20-20 game Saturday. She had 23 points and 26 rebounds. and it's like it's her 5th 2020 game of the year, and it's just like, oh, okay, she had another double. But it's remarkable. I don't care who you're doing it against. It's remarkable. She was the first player since the SEC started sponsoring women's basketball 40 years ago, the 82-83 season. She is the first player with 2 games in the season of 26 rebounds or more. And that includes players like Fowles, and includes a lot of other great post players over the years. There were some players back before that era who had in the 70s and early 80s who had more rebounds, but in the SEC era. And she's just been remarkable. And the Bayou Barbie, as her nickname has come to be known as she's they were screaming for her after the game. Your kids were outside the locker room after the game Sunday, just screaming for her. Like I asked Alexis Moore, she came in for interviews. I said, is Beyonce here or something? What is going on across the hall? And she's become quite the star. And transferred from Maryland. Left Maryland, who's a really good team too this year. I wonder how good they'd be if she'd stayed. But she wanted to come play for Mulkey.
You mentioned that. I mean, as stellar as she has been, how if you're Maryland, how do you not make her happy? I mean, you can't let somebody that talented leave your program.
They had a couple of transfers from Maryland, and they're still a top 10 team. Pretty remarkable to say that. I don't know, Mo. This is the thing for someone my age, having grown up while following college athletics in this whole brave new world of NIL and the transfer portal. I mean, this is a young lady who's from Baltimore, went to school at Maryland, and you spent her whole life there. She's playing for the state school, who's got a very good program. They won the national title like in 2006, and they've stayed very relevant since then. And she decides, I'm going to LSU, and I'm going to play for Kim Mulkey. And she was the number 2 player in the country in her recruiting class, I guess 3 years ago. And she's a heck of a player, but has developed. She said she wanted to grow, and she has developed into I think a better player than she was at Maryland. Here, would she have been developed at Maryland? I don't know, but that's what she's done here. And Mulkey has, of course, a reputation for coaching post players and coaching them up. So it's just I don't really know the answer to that. It's just like, other than she says is to try to better herself and stuff like that. It wasn't for, if there was some NIL money involved, it's frankly probably not a lot, because it is women's basketball. It's not football or something. So, and she's blossomed here into one of the stars of the game. She should be a first-team All-American and a contender next year for National Player of the Year. If she doesn't, if she is this year, I think it'll be Elia Boston or Caitlin Clark from Iowa. But she'll be right up there next year.
That next year phrase is one that nobody in this conference wants to hear, Scott. She's coming back,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she'll be back. Flo J. Johnson, who's SEC Freshman of the Year. They'll lose 3 senior starters, but they have the number 1 recruiting class in the country coming in. And I'm told
2 all SEC freshmen, right?
Yeah. Samaya Smith, the forward, is also an all SEC freshman. They got a couple of players from Tennessee who are coming in. Velez, a point guard from the Webb School, and Del Rosario, who's the
Aaliyah Del Rosario,
who they top 10 player recruit. The kind of bigger player. I assume I haven't seen any video ever, I have to admit. But I assume she's got a bigger body. Reese is very thin. She's a very, very willowy player. People compare her to Fowles, but they're two very different players. Angel will bring the ball all the way up to the court sometimes. And Sylvia never did that, but Sylvia was a much bigger physical presence. So they need that to complement her. And then they have the number 1 or 2 recruit in the country in Michaela Williams from Bossier City, Louisiana, coming in too. So it's going to be very interesting to see those players mesh in there next year with a team for whom the expectations will be just as high or higher than they are this year.
Scott, I can tell you firsthand. I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. LSU fans will be very happy with Del Rosario and Velez. I saw them twice this year, and they are everything they're cracked up to be, and then some.
So. Well, that's that they've got a good they've got great reputations, and I don't think I don't know that it was a package deal or they both wanted to come to the same school or not, but they did, and they're very. I know LSU's thrilled to have them because, like I said, they're kind of liking that bigger body in the paint. Yeah, Reese is a great rebounder, but she draws so much attention, and she can physical. But South Carolina, they can bring in Boston, and they bring in Cardozo off the bench, who's 6'7". And it's just hard. It's hard for anybody to match that. Next year, Boston, you assume, will be gone, and LSU will be a little more even footing there in the paint with them.
Del Rosario doesn't move unless she wants to. So let me just say that. Scott Rabelais of the Baton Rouge Advocate joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. As you can see, the bracket for the Southeastern Conference women's basketball tournament that starts tomorrow over at Greenville, South Carolina, with the 11-14 and the 12-13 games. Vanderbilt playing Texas A&M in that 12-13 game. Florida and Kentucky in the 11-14 quarterfinals on Thursday. I'm sorry, second round on Thursday, quarters on Friday, semis in the championship game on Sunday. Scott, if you had to pick somebody that's going to upset the apple cart, who would it be?
I hate to say this for LSU, but Georgia is a team to watch. Yeah, they play they play a difficult zone defense to deal with, and like I said, they took LSU to overtime in Baton Rouge and really outplayed LSU for most of the game. I would imagine if they beat Auburn and advance to play LSU on Friday, LSU will have something different prepared for Georgia. And LSU was coming off the Tennessee win that time. I'm not trying to make excuses, just saying it was not the same energy in the arena that you had for the Tennessee game, which was sold out. And I think Georgia is a team that could, if you're looking for a team like Kentucky last year, and Kentucky's not going to make it out of the last seed, they're not going to make it there this year. It would be Georgia. And then you have Ole Miss, which is, again, starting with a double bye, like the other top three seeds, LSU, South Carolina, and Tennessee. But obviously, it would be very interesting to see them win and play South Carolina in the semifinals and see if they could give them a tough game again, because they had the ball on the right side of the lane with a chance to score, and the player kind of fell down, and then they lost in overtime. But they might have to play Mississippi State in the quarterfinals, who is playing some good ball too. And but listen, it's a little more. It's fine. I say it's open. Yes, South Carolina's the favorite, but there's some games you could definitely see an upset. I could see Vandy, beating A&M. Probably should beat A&M because they've been playing pretty well down the stretch. Mm-hmm. And then maybe knocking off Miss State if they're looking ahead to playing Ole Miss. Then that could be interesting. And Alabama was playing well, but they faded down the stretch, lost their last three. Don't see anything from Arkansas or Missouri happening to the top of the bracket. I think winner gets South Carolina. Congratulations! Here's a lovely parting gift. But Georgia and Ole Miss would be the teams I think are the most intriguing going to this year's tournament.
And Scott, typically you see somebody that has played a game beat somebody who's just coming out of the box in these things. You don't want to get caught flat-footed, but it tends to happen in this tournament. Like I said, you'll see one of these first fours get somebody in that second round, and you'll see somebody coming out of that second round get somebody in the quarters. You think? I mean, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens every year. This is LSU was in this spot last year. So yeah, so I forget if Kentucky was the 7 or the 10 last year, but they won this game, and then they knocked off LSU, who had not played. The momentum of a team that gets that win, and is playing. Now eventually the extra game kind of gets you. Mm-hmm. You're gassed if you make it to Sunday. It didn't get Kentucky last year, but it often does. And but yeah, you would. I would not expect the chalk to hold completely for the top 4 seeds to make it to the semifinals. Absolutely. And that probably doesn't bode well for LSU. We're all still trying to figure out how good LSU is. How good South Carolina is. Tennessee obviously is. They're not a vintage Tennessee team, but they have talent and can make things happen. And Ole Miss is just that pesky team that you don't really want to see. And and we'll see how motivated South Carolina would be to play them. But a Miss State or a Georgia or somebody like that could upset the apple cart. Yeah, for sure.
You know, Mo, it's funny because as I mentioned to Ashley Rutledge last night, Loretto girls basketball coach, about how they struggled to kind of get going in the first half shooting free throws. And she said, yeah, we got to get used to the rims. Those teams that have an extra game to get used to the new gym and the new rims and the new goals, it makes a difference. I mean, we see it every year in the state tournament at MTSU for TSSAA. Having that first game really impacts the quarterfinals almost in every instance. So certainly would not be surprised if chalk did not hold, Scott, for sure.
And this tournament was not in Greenville last year. I mean, that's the one other little thing. It was in Nashville last year.
Right.
Obviously, Nashville usually has the men's tournament, but last year was one of those few remaining years, that foreseeable years, that the men's tournament left Nashville and they moved the women's tournament in. But Greenville is to the women's tournament now what Nashville is to the men's tournament, which I think is a good idea. Sure. I think Nashville is a great location. I think Greenville is a little too eastern for the women's tournament. I think maybe Birmingham or something like that would probably be a better site. But I would nothing against Greenville. It's a nice little town. I wish it was Nashville again this year, because that's such a great y'all have such a great setup. And you walk out the arena and you go down Broadway and there's all the music and it's just so lively and fun. It's my favorite. I'm not just saying this. It's my favorite city in the SEC. That's for sure. I don't get to go there often enough.
Scott, I'm old school enough to remember when it was in Chattanooga every year, and it seemed to do well there. And so I don't know why it couldn't go back. But anyway, that ship seems to have sailed. It seems to be fitting in pretty well in Greenville. Like you said, it feels a little east, but maybe you can say something.
Not as east as you can go.
Yeah. especially with Texas and Oklahoma joining the league, and those are two ranked programs as well. It just seems like Memphis. They could do something for them a little bit. Memphis or there is a nice arena in Bossier City, Louisiana. People are like, what is Bossier City?
Man,
it's across the river from Shreveport.
I have been.
A nice arena there.
I have been there. The battle wings of the arena football too.
Yeah, the Shreveport Battle Wing.
I have been there. I have done that. I have driven that drive back home after an overtime loss. It's not fun. It's not fun. And there's as much fun as there is to have in Nashville, there's the exact opposite amount of fun in Bossier Shreveport.
If you don't gamble, there's not a lot to do.
Yeah, if you're not a gambler, there's not a lot to do. But it is a great arena, and it is again a little more central location. But yeah, it is what it is.
Speaking of Greenville, can I bring up one quick thing?
Yeah.
Looking ahead to the NCAA tournament, this is going to be very confusing for fans this year. Starting this year, there are only 2 regional sites per year for the women's tournament. You're going to have the 16 first round sites. Schools. The top 4 seeds in each regional will host first and second round games. Then there are only going to be 2 regional sites going forward. This year, it's Greenville again. Greenville, South Carolina is one of the regional sites. The other is Seattle. And people are going to say, potentially LSU and South Carolina could both be in regionals that wind up in Greenville. And they have to play each other. No, they wouldn't play until the Final Four, because they're not going to make the 2 highly ranked teams meet. But it's going to be very confusing
for
fans.
Iowa.
Yeah, so 2 teams per. Yeah, really. 2 teams
Iowa's got to go a million miles away, no matter what.
Right, exactly. 2 teams per regional site will advance to the Final Four in Dallas. Why they've decided to do this, I don't know. I guess it's cost saving, but it's going to be kind of confusing to start. And this is what they're doing, from now on. And it's just a little strange, especially.
I tell you what, Scott, the NCAA just can't stop shooting itself in the foot when it comes to
women's
equality of women's athletics.
Well, you remember when they had the whole men's tournament in 21 in Indianapolis. They had the whole women's tournament in San Antonio. Y'all remember the big dust?
Oh, yeah.
They had the weight room and everything, and they had like 3 weights and a bottle of water for the women, and they had like masseuses and acupuncture tables for the men. It's like, how can you even do that? How can you even not make it equal? I mean, it's like, you're just begging for trouble. Just one person with their camera phone is going to get out there and just going to make you look like idiots. And that's what they mean.
You can get away with it.
How are
you
discussing? How are you discussing this setup in Indianapolis and nobody's saying Whoa. Let's rethink
Because
this.
there
just
wasn't a
sec.
woman in the room, Mo.
Why should there have had to be a woman?
I'm just saying that's how it happened. There wasn't a woman in the room to tell the men that they're being crazy and dumb. Because, hey, how many times have we needed our women to tell us we're being dumb sometimes? I'm just being honest.
Well, every now and then you need to be able to see it for yourself. But at any rate, Scott, man, we've gone way off in the weeds here, but we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon, talk about the SEC women's basketball tournament, and enjoy Greenville.
I will try.
And it sounds as if you're going to be there for a good bit.
Well, we shall see. I think they're planning to be. But you never know. But hey, March is here tomorrow. Well, you got to love March. This is, aside from college football season, I got March, and then I got the Masters. It's the next 5 weeks are just, it's a pretty great time of the year for me, and I'm excited.
Well, we may have to catch back up with you and get your thoughts on the Masters either before or after. So
you really have to twist my arm, Mo, to talk about golf, and the Masters. But okay, I'll see what I can do.
I can see it in the background though. That Masters.
Yes, I got to play 2 years ago after the tournament, and it was. I didn't play well, but I played, and it was.
It doesn't matter.
Incredible experience. No,
if you're on the course at Augusta National, you can shoot 200 and you're still gonna have a good day.
The best part about any merchandise you ever get from the Masters, and you have to actually physically be there to get it. You know what I mean? Like you can't
buy it online.
No, can't buy it online or in golf shops or something like that. No, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
Scott, we appreciate it again. Thank you for taking time with us and talking a little college hoops, and we will. Certainly.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Stop. Before we let him out.
Oh,
Scott, is Will Wade going to get a job for next year?
I was talking to someone from LSU about that last night. I can't see. He doesn't have a show cause yet because the NCAA has not made its final ruling, against LSU and Will Wade. I just, somebody like Jeff Goodman, said it that he's been mentioned at Ole Miss, to replace Kermit Davis. So you can't totally, a guy like Jeff Goodman, with basketball, you can't totally dismiss it out of hand. I just find it very hard to believe that some school is going to go down that route. With the, as much as the NCAA wanted its pound of flesh, they wanted Will Wade gone. I mean, they basically, in my opinion, threatened LSU saying, "You get rid of Will Wade, or we're connecting all your problems between football and basketball, and football could go on probation too." And obviously, that's the golden goose, and you can't have that happen at LSU. So. I think whoever hires him, the NCAA is knocking on the door the next day. It's just I just eventually maybe, but people forget because a lot of coaches have gotten that get out of jail free card. But I think it's way too soon for Will Wade, in my opinion. I could be shocked, but I think it's too soon.
There you go.
Thank you, Scott.
We would agree with that. So. But we do appreciate it, man, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you. Anytime, guys. Enjoy it.
All right. We'll take a short break here. When we come back, a couple of things in the prep ranks. Speaking of show causes and all the other things that are going on in the world of investigations, we'll get to some TLSAA investigations on the other side of the break. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back after this. Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton here on this Tuesday, and we don't have nearly as much time as we would normally have in this segment, guys. After a fantastic discussion with Scott RABALAIS, if you are interested at all in SEC hoops, you certainly want to go back and listen to that conversation. Well worth it. But we do have a little bit of time, and the TSSAA will be meeting tomorrow, and during that meeting they will hear an appeal from LIPSCOMB Academy, who, according to reportpreps.com, has had its entire athletic program placed on probation through the end of the 2023-24 school year and has been fined $1,000 after it was determined the school violated the TSSAA's recruiting rule. According to the TSSAA, it violated Article 2, Section 17 of the bylaws due to a social media post promoting the Endeavor program, which is a by-application program offered to prospective students. Essentially, what this program is flexibility to be able to do extracurriculars while also taking on your schoolwork. And the social media posts featured a girls basketball player who was doing drills and talking about how Endeavor had helped her be able to, do her extracurriculars, basketball included, as well as schoolwork. And the TSSAA basically said that's a violation because it was, I guess we can read here from Mark Reeves. The social media post focuses on athletics and encourages prospective student athletes to consider LIPSCOMB Academy because of the resources available to student athletes and the flexibility the Endeavor program offers to student athletes. The entire video focuses on a girls basketball player and the resources made available to her that are beneficial to her goal of playing college basketball. And that, my friends, is the gist of that. Full report again, MainStreetPreps.com. Mo, your thoughts?
Social media, if you're not careful, can create some issues for you. I mean, this isn't the first time that a school has run afoul of the recruiting rule via a social media post. So, I mean, it's unfortunate because there's a lot of positives. It allows you to reach a lot of folks, but you just gotta be mindful of who it is you're reaching, how you're reaching them, and you've got to keep this recruiting rule in mind. I think I don't know what their I'd be interested to hear their appeal and what the basis is for it. Really?
Well, I don't know what the basis for the appeal will be, but I know what my argument would be.
What's that?
Oh, you don't want us telling folks how we're able to help them achieve their goal of playing college athletics?
Nope.
Man, tell me more about how you're for the student athletes, Mr. TSSAA officials. Now I'm telling you, that's what the argument should be.
I agree with that.
I'm not saying that it's legal and that it has any legal basis as far as the bylaws are concerned. I'm just telling you that's what the argument should be.
Well,
because
it may
perception is reality.
That may very well be what the argument is, but yes, therefore the student athlete. I think that's where this whole thing hinges.
No, this whole thing hinges on the athletics part, because if you're telling me that the Endeavor program is for athletics and not for the academic side, that's a little that's disingenuous to me. I'm telling you that this is a way for I've lived it. I know how hard it is to do both. And this school is giving basketball players an opportunity to, or any band, cheerleading, it doesn't matter. They're giving student athletes an opportunity to be the best that they can be in both academics and athletics with this particular program. Now, the problem is not the program.
And they're providing something that other schools are unable to provide.
That has nothing to, again, Mark Reeves, the Endeavor program is not the problem.
But rather the individual post.
The post Basically, if
was
they had
received
a
by
band
the
member
general
doing
public
this,
as a single promotional message, and in doing so constitutes a social media message that targets potential student athletes.
that's why the argument doesn't address necessarily the bylaw. I'm just telling you that if I'm making the argument, perception is reality. Social, if it wasn't Lipscomb Academy and all of the Brentwood Academy like hate that they've gotten over the last 2 years under Trent Dilfer, public perception would be on their side. Now it's not going to be, because this, and like I said and posted on Tommy Bryan's Facebook page, this is Al Capone's tax evasion. This is how they're getting them for things that they know they did in the football program. This is how they're addressing that with something that they can tangibly provide evidence for. And to be honest, I'm not opposed to it, because I'm not saying I have any evidence of any wrongdoing. I'm telling you that, I believe, in my opinion, Lipscomb Academy probably violated some recruiting rules in the TSSAA's bylaws, but that's the way I feel.
Yeah, I would not disagree with you, but I'm going to take you back to Alonzo Harris in training day. It ain't what you know, it's what you can prove.
Exactly. And again, that's why I think this is, this is
Al Capone's tax evasion.
That's what this is.
Man, quote came on point today, guys. Quote
Yep.
came on point.
Yeah.
So that's just again, I think the Endeavor program is fantastic. Had they had a band member instead of a basketball player, there wouldn't be no problem.
Said.
No problem.
If they had shown someone in a music class or getting individual musical instruction.
It's really interesting the way that Mark writes this, is because he said the entire video focuses on a girls' basketball. I wonder if they had a band member, a musician, a girl who, or a guy who's out there playing music and gig working or whatever, and a basketball player and a football player. If they'd have had 4 or 5 different extracurriculars, instead of the entire video being a girls' basketball player, I think that probably would have made a difference. I don't know. We lost Mo again for a moment. There you are.
Yeah.
You are, in fact. But I think that would have made a difference. But they didn't. So here we are.
So here we are. Yeah.
it's
lesson learned.
It's like that situation that in Muscle Shoals a couple of years ago when the kid from Wilson, the kid from Wilson said, "Yeah, their defensive coordinator called me and said that they had a spot for me." and Craig Thomas wrote in the paper. And so the HSAA had to do something.
There you go.
So it was interesting, but yeah. So anyway, that appeal will be heard tomorrow in TSSAA. They also heard an appeal today about a fight involving Raleigh, Egypt, and placing Raleigh, Egypt on probation. And they heard that today. Because I was looking for information on this and I found that, and I just kind of was listening to it and I thought, wow, that's interesting. I don't have a whole lot of the details, but they did hear an appeal today. Don't know how they ruled yet.
Tomorrow they will also, and this probably, two things that they're going to discuss in this Board of Control meeting, in addition to the Lipscomb appeal. They will be discussing the Blue Cross Bowl contract for the next 2, the 2023 and the 2024 state championships. And I feel confident that those will return to Finley Stadium in Chattanooga, and that will touch off a firestorm with regards to the state championships coming to newly turfed Nissan Stadium, and why that's not the case. So be on the lookout.
Yeah. I don't know that well, I guess if it's newly turfed, I guess you could make the argument, but also
I think the stance on the part of the TSSAA as far as that goes is they were already pretty far down the road in terms of going back to Chattanooga for the next 2 years when news of the new playing surface at Nissan Stadium came about. And,
and it's probably the right call.
I think it's absolutely the right call, just in terms of they were already down the road with Chattanooga in this direction. Now, I think in 25, you'll probably see it. You should see it.
Potentially. Especially if there's a new stadium in 26. So
well, even if not, just I think the new
turf will certainly make a difference.
Yeah. So, and Chris, as you pointed out, or as you reacted when I texted you this this agenda, apparently there will be a discussion regarding a shot clock for basketball.
But that will take place. That'll be on the 23rd, right?
Hmm?
So,
what?
So the discussion for the shot clock and for, and the contract for football, that's on March 23rd. Is that right?
No, that's tomorrow.
Okay. I thought the document that you sent me was labeled 323.
No, it was. I think those were page numbers. No, all of that is tomorrow's agenda.
Okay. That makes more sense then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I thought 323. That means it must be when they're meeting, March 23rd. But
no.
That does make sense.
Exactly what I thought. I'm not going to lie.
Now I look at the date at the top of the agenda and it says March 1st. So there you go.
Yeah. Reading is fundamental.
Well, didn't get that. I just skipped over the date part. Wasn't worried about it.
Well,
all right.
Our next guest has joined us.
He has, and we'll go right to him. Let's go to Chip Walters of the. Look at there, the Blue Raider Network. He's out at Reese Smith Field again.
Oh, again.
Belmont's in town today.
Oh, who's on the bump?
I just walked up. I haven't seen the lineup, so I was more in tune to getting on your show.
Yeah, well, and
priority.
Be careful.
We'll check. You can pull up the live stats there, Mo, on Stat Broadcast. So,
anyway.
But as Mr. Palmer just said on the radio, he said it's a good thing we played today with 7-mile-an-hour winds. They would have been 77 miles an hour yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was rough.
As long as the wind wasn't blowing in, though, that might have been a good thing.
Yep. Belmont with a man on, nobody out here in the top of the first. Just underway.
Let's see here. I think I have the lineup.
Do you have it?
Bryant Baranek.
There we go.
Yep.
He is back on the bump today. So
Baranek.
there you go.
Yep.
And Briggs Rudder behind the dish. So a little Murray County battery.
Gotta like that.
How about that? Can't beat it.
Is similar in the lineup?
He was not.
He is not. Okay.
So Chip, you could not have asked for a better weekend for Middle Tennessee State University. Undefeated, untied. What a weekend.
Well, the only loss was men's tennis, who's top 25 in the country, lost to Auburn, but came back and beat Oklahoma in the Blue Gray Classic down in Montgomery. But you're right. Baseball won a 4-game series against St. Bonaventure. Softball's off to the best start in program history as they won 2 down at Georgia Southern, and both basketball teams got wins on Saturday. So you're right. It was about as good a day as you could have.
Now, with those wins on the hardwood, pretty well sums up where Middle's going to be in Conference USA tournament play.
It does. The women had wrapped up at least a tie for the regular season championship, and then Thursday night when Middle did not play, it became official by losses of the right teams, and then the men on Saturday with their win wrapped up a first round bye, so they will 99% chance they'll play in that 4-5 game. If Middle should go on the road and win at North Texas and at UTEP, and UAB loses at Charlotte, Middle would be the 3 seed. But right now it's looking more and more like Middle and Charlotte in that 4-5 game on Thursday.
And how has that series gone, Chip?
As far as Middle and
split this year, right? And Charlotte.
Well, Middle split with Charlotte. It lost back in first game of the conference season on the 29th, and then won in Murfreesboro. They've won 4 out of their last 5. However, Ali Khalifa, their big center, who likes to play out near the top of the key mainly. He's not a big post presence per se, but he's an incredible passer, and has here recently started to find his shooting eye, and has been encouraged to shoot from outside the arc, and he's been wearing it out, and with that's been a big key to their success right now.
Well, that's interesting, because I mean, if he's a post player, then you probably got to send a post player out there to defend him, which creates all sorts of issues. Exactly,
and opens up for their guards that like to drive and all that. So yeah, they kind of play a little bit of an inverted offense, somewhat. And we had times here, I think in the back in the years when Kermit was here, that they did that a little bit, turned that around, and but it can be effective. But the thing is, you've got a guy that's really mobile like Dish, and now Jared Coleman Jones, who has really come on, and he's got good feet and is able to move. So you've got a guy who can get out there, and there have been times this year with Dish and his quickness that Middle's been able to switch 1 through 5 and not have a problem with it.
Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raider, is joining us here on Main Street Sports today, as he does every Tuesday.
Although next week we probably need to move it to Wednesday.
Okay,
I'll be on an airplane about this time next Tuesday.
Oh, well,
we do love airplanes.
That's right. Then we will probably do that. Then there's a couple of things we need to talk to you about off air anyway, so we'll get that addressed. But yeah, women. There's a trophy presentation scheduled following Saturday's game. When you can when you can schedule trophy presentations, it's a pretty good thing.
That's exactly. Yeah, you're getting it done. What is it they always talk about? Coach, you always hear coaches say, get your work done early. Well, that's what they've done, is they've gotten and have stretched out the lead enough to where they've clinched it. They know the championship trophy for the regular season is coming, and you can go ahead and enjoy that presentation with your fans on Senior Day. Well, let's see what happened.
Something happened?
No, just got the 3rd out of the inning, and Middle coming to bat. No runs for Belmont in the top of the 1st.
Okay. Now we're not getting charged for a broadcast here, are we?
There's a rights fee involved, but again, that's something we'll talk about off the air. So, those issues we needed to resolve.
Are you able to give us the express written consent
of Major League Baseball
or somebody? No.
Hey, it's going to be interesting to see whose broadcasts are going to be able to be reused at all this year in Major League Baseball with all the regional sports networks. That's a story in itself.
You're right.
And neither Mo nor myself are qualified to speak on it, because we just don't understand it, and we don't know anybody who does.
So if you do, point them our way.
I'll do that.
Okay. We are very curious how that's going to work out this year. No doubt.
Chip, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. If you're going to stay on basketball, I was going to move to softball real quick.
Actually, I was going to move back to baseball for just a second, because we have to discuss the latest Friday night performance of another product of the Dimple. Jaden Ham, 7 2/3, scattered 8 hits, allowed 3 runs, 2 earned. Struck out 9. last Friday in a 16-3 victory over St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, he's just been really tough, and he got named a team captain. A week before the season, maybe 10 days before the season, and he's really backed that up with his ability to go out there on Fridays and do the job. And I can remember years where you had that dominant starter on Friday, and man, it just makes life so much easier if you got a guy you can send out there and know that you've got a pretty good chance to win on Fridays, and you can back it up on Saturday and Sunday and kind of mix and match and do what you need to do. And Jaden Ham here early on is making that move. We're about 3 weeks away from the conference opening weekend against Western Kentucky, and of course that's where the rubber meets the road as far as all of these teams are concerned. But he's been a really, really bright spot for the pitching staff, and now as you mentioned, this is Baronick's second midweek start. Had a great outing against SEMO last week, so it's there's some good things happening with that staff, and they're finding. I'd like to say that they're finding more answers than additional questions right now with the pitching staff. And this past weekend, you played a St. Bonaventure team that went 5-39 a year ago, but you still go out and you score 45 runs over on the weekend, and you get good pitching from all your starters. So that was a good weekend, and you just hope you can roll that confidence into today, and also you've got Toledo coming in this weekend.
Holy Toledo. Ham
exactly.
in 2 starts, 13 innings, 15 strikeouts, no walks. He's got a 1.38 ERA.
A big goose egg in the walk column is huge.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you don't walk people, you really put yourself in a good position, and certainly that's been the case in the early going for the former Columbia Central standout Jaden Ham. So good for him. Chris, if you want to.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the softball. You said they were off to the best start, 11-3 right now, and unfortunately, 2 of those wins over the weekend came down in Statesboro against the Sharon Perkins-led Georgia Southern Eagles. But Middle Tennessee State doing it with local products. Chip, Laura Mealer. Look at there out of Forest High School. 2 for 3 with a triple and 2 RBIs in Sunday's finale, and a 5-0 win over Georgia Southern. And Coffee County's former Coffee County pitcher Carrie Munn, 3-0 on the season in the circle. Being able to recruit high-level softball players in Middle Tennessee has to be a huge deal for MTSU.
Let me just say this before Chip gets started. Jeff Breeden's never going to lose a kid from Coffee County.
That's correct.
Well, there's that, yeah. And they've been real good at softball recently, so that's helped out.
Yeah,
and you're right. And I mean, he spent great time there, also Riverdale, and you mentioned the smaller communities that take so much pride, like Forest High over in Chapel Hill, and getting those kids and those, that's all big for him. They're still bringing in the occasional kid from the West Coast who's able to play year round and all that kind of stuff. They're still going and playing in tournaments out there, exposing their program to some of the really good kids across the country. But I think when you look at baseball and softball at Middle and check the rosters and see where those kids are from, Middle Tennessee is the appropriate thing that ought to be across their chest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's refreshing to see, as Middle Tennessee natives and as Middle Tennessee graduates. It's nice to see those kids on those rosters. I think it's a little easier for the fan base to get behind those teams when you look and you see that those are the makeups of those teams.
I agree with you 100%. And, and not every sport can do all of that, but, every coach here, I think when you talk to them, they all talk about how they're recruiting. You stick a pin in Murfreesboro and work your way out from there, and try to take advantage of our location in the mid-state with. Nashville's now, the Nashville metropolitan area is bigger than Memphis now. And you've got, great coaching in this area at the high school level in all sports. So, you should get kids that know how to play their sport when they come here, and you're just trying to go out and keep them all. If you can build that fence, that's a good thing if you can do it.
No question. Chip, we appreciate it as always. We'll get with you and we'll get set for next Wednesday. We'll have you and Heather Williams on, and it'll be one of our better Wednesday shows. And we'll certainly look forward to it and continue talking a little Middle Tennessee State as basketball tournament should be good to go.
Yep, should be. And I just want to give you one final look of how pretty Reese Smith Field is today.
It's a thing of beauty. I bet Bill Marvitt is just in awe. He just stands up there and just hands on his hips and just looks.
Exactly.
Man.
Wow. Chip, we appreciate it, man.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.
That's so true, old geezer. Still getting mama's cooking every now and then is probably a big positive to staying close to home and playing sports at Middle Tennessee State. So no question there. Oh, well, let's take a very quick break. We do have to get a couple more commercials in, and we come back Top 5 Tuesday. Top 5 guests in Main Street Sports Today history. Draft right after this.
Walmart Supply Chain is hiring in Lebanon. Earn up to $22.25 an hour when you join our new fulfillment center. Enjoy competitive pay and premium perks, including 100% paid college tuition, 401k match, flexible schedules, a free Walmart Plus membership that includes discounts, and free Paramount Plus, paid time off, and so much more. Fulfilling work starts right here. Text JOIN to 240-240. That's JOIN 240-240 to apply now.
Yeah, welcome back in. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. It's Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by our friends at Mid-South 5 Fitness. Mid-South 5 Fitness has 2 great locations, one in Columbia, one in Franklin and Thalys Still, and the fine folks there doing a great job taking care of you. Find them at Steel Athletes, STEEL Athletes on Instagram, and at steelathletes.com, STEEL Athletes.com. All right, so we have had a laundry list of guests on the show. You've seen our promos. We've had some of the greatest guests in the history of talk radio. I'm just here to tell you we have. Thanks, Justin, for covering me up. I'm just gonna. Oh no, put that back up. Put that back up. I feel like Wilson from Home Improvement.
From Home Improvement.
Yeah,
No,
this is me.
I never saw him. I guess he never revealed himself. Well, I guess he did.
I need a bucket hat. That's what it is. This is perfect.
Hat.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, we have had some great guests over the years, and Justin's been here for a short period of time relatively to the length of our show. But we're gonna draft our top 5 favorite guests we've ever had on the show, and I think we will keep Chip, Heather, and Jeff Him out of the running here because we do have them each and every week, and we want to keep having them. So,
Exactly.
so we'll put them in the gold standard because that's why we have them each and every week. But this week, the draft will go to Justin will be first, Mo will be second, and I will be third again.
0 for 2 last 2 weeks, huh?
Yeah, it's rough. It's
Yeah.
rough. So Justin,
I'm gonna go Wes Rucker for my first pick. I like Wes. I like
Wait,
when he comes.
Wes Rucker.
Yeah.
Who's he? I'm kidding. I like Hank better than Wes, but that's okay.
He's rocking Hank.
When he's rocking Hank, that's when we're having a good time. All right,
He doesn't even follow me back on Twitter, and he's my number one. Maybe you should.
man.
Maybe I should let him know.
All right, Mo.
Mo is going with former Cy Young Award winner R.A. Dickey.
Saying it just like the promo.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going with Cut because he said he was impressed with my dance moves. Baby Cutcliffe, baby.
Yeah. I'm sure many people have told you that. They just haven't been on the show.
Yeah, well, no. Dave, Coach's the only one, so I'm going with it. And he said he would recruit me, so I'm good.
Yes, yeah, that's why you're going with Cut. I get it.
Right. My turn.
Yep.
I'm gonna go Pete Weber.
It's good guess.
Good as it gets right there.
Yeah.
Solid guy.
No.
Okay. You went with Cut. I'm going with another guy from that same week. I'm going with Greg Sankey.
You would. Good call. I mean, look, we could have a top 5 of just guests that we had at SEC Media Days, and we would have a great time doing it. I'm gonna go way back into the vault, and I'm gonna pull out Jeff Pearlman. That was a great conversation we had about the Bo Jackson book and Winning Time.
Okay.
I had him on my list. I milked him, and I milked him a little too long, but that's okay. Justin, who's your number 3?
I'm gonna go with Nabias. I like him a lot.
That's a great, yeah, because he is so funny.
Man,
Nabias always brings it, man.
I really
every time, never fails.
Really enjoy him.
Yeah. All right.
My number 3 is Eric O'Flaherty.
Good one. Good one.
So y'all doing the OGs on me.
But we had Eric on. You've had Eric on.
Okay.
Once, but yeah, you did.
It's getting about time to reach back out to him, though.
It is, in fact. It is, in fact. Let's see here. I'm gonna go with Ron McGee. What a great time we had talking NASCAR and everything else with him. Always fun.
Good call.
Very nice.
Good call.
Or is it my bad?
It's your turn.
Okay. I am gonna go with Michael Sean Duger. I know that he recently didn't something happen? Good or bad? I can't remember.
Oh, we were talking about quarterbacks, and we referred to his comment. Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. I remember him talking. I remember him having on the show, and him just his knowledge about Seattle and just the way. Yeah, I like that. He's one of my favorites for sure.
Good stuff. Did you say that Teresa is not in the mix?
She's not. She's a gold standard.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with another Teresa Phillips.
Wait, what was it? Phillips, you said?
Teresa Phillips, yes. Former TSU AD, has always been good to us and always been knowledgeable. So yeah.
I'm gonna go John Bryce here.
Okay.
He always brings it, man.
Yeah.
So good.
Absolutely. Justin, who's your number 5?
My number 5 is I just got a little distracted. Old Geezer dropped a comment that I was not expecting. Falcons releasing Mariota. Did y'all know that?
Oh yeah, we knew that. Also, Bucks are releasing Leonard Fournette apparently.
I knew that one. I didn't know about the Mariota thing. But last one for me, I'm gonna go Willie D.
That's good.
Willie Donick.
He's been so nice to me when we text.
I'm going Bill Hancock.
Yeah, that's a great one. Well, you know me, I got to go NASCAR. So Ty Norris,
okay,
president of Trackhouse Racing.
Trackhouse.
So there you go. That's Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness, make sure to go to mainstreet-nashville.com, sign up, and register for that Predators prize pack. We are overtime, so we will see you guys next week or tomorrow at 2 o'clock, but also next week on Top 5 Tuesday. Main Street Sports Today. Have a good one.
See y'all.